Sam here again from Frugalissima. I'm reviewing the Great British Sewing Bee episode 3, which was Children's Week. This was recorded on the 6th of May 2020. I'm a bit late with this video, I'm afraid. I've had a few technical issues, including having my website hacked in the middle of doing the blog post. So I'm sorry about that. And I'd just like to say thank you to everyone who's subscribed. I can't believe how many people have been watching these. And a big shout out to Alex Judge Sews, who gave me a shout out on her videos. Thank you, Alex, for that. That was great. So on to the bee. It was a fab week with Children's Week. I didn't think that I'd enjoy it as much as I did, namely because I've had some good news this week. I'm going to be a grandma, which means that I've an added interest to the things that are being made. So essentially, initially, I thought I wouldn't be making anything from the bee this time, but I think I might be doing. So we'll see. Wait and see what I'll come up with. So to start off with, the technical challenge, as I call it, which is when all the contestants sew from the same pattern. It was a child's smocked dress, which had a little Peter Pan collar, and five rows of smocking up at the chest, and five rows of gathering and some smocking on it. Now I've worn this dress on purpose because this has got some shirring in it, and I must admit I thought they were one and the same thing. Shirring, I'm going to stand up and show you, is this panel here, which, as you can see, has elastic in it. So it's a similar idea in that the elastic in this and the smocking gives you a little bit of room to grow, and I think that's probably ideal for children's wear. It's just that this has got shirring elastic in it, whereas the method that they were showing you on the bee, it was just 5 rows of gathers, and then they were actually doing the smocking, which would traditionally be done by hand on the sewing machine, which must have been really, really tricky actually. I don't know what the contestants thought about it when they were faced with such a challenge. They seemed to all cope with it quite well. So my first instinct was to have a look and see what books that I had on smocking. They went into a little bit of a history on the TV show, but I had a look through some of my books, and they were advising you to use some sort of fusing behind the rows of gathering, just to give it that stability when you start doing the embroidery. Which I thought was, I don't think they'd actually did that on the show, but yeah, I think that's quite good advice. So I found these 2 books. I've got this Complete Dressmaking Skills by Lorna Knight, and I didn't realise actually that this book here, that's the Dressmaker's Technique Bible, and that's also by Lorna Knight. I hadn't realised it was the same author actually. But yeah, she sort of advises to use a stabiliser behind your tucks, and she calls them tucks, and I think you can actually get a machine to do this, rather than what they did was 5 lines of gathering stitches and pull them up, so it's probably not quite as neat as the technique that's shown in the book there. Looking for patterns. Naturally, I don't have a great deal of children's patterns in my own stash, and once again the new Sewing Bee book doesn't have any children's patterns in there neither. So it was lucky that a couple of days after the show was aired, they have a website for the Great British Sewing Bee. I don't know if anybody's discovered that yet, and they released that very same pattern free of charge on the website. I don't know if they did that as why they did that, or if I've never seen them do that before. Maybe it was a criticism because I'm finding quite a lot of the patterns that are in the book that's supposed to support the series don't appear on the TV. So maybe it was just or maybe they planned it. I don't know. So yeah, so I will insert a picture whilst I'm talking of the smocked dress that they're released free. So I'm not going to go into any other kind of patterns that are available. I mean, there's no point. That was the pattern that was used. I'm fairly sure it was the exact same pattern. A lot of the contestants went for Liberty prints to make their dresses with. Ray's made the Liberty, and I think it's Q for the Zoo. Again, I'll insert pictures as I'm talking so you can have a see what I'm talking about. So that was quite a popular print a couple of years ago, and I recognised that straight away. And then we had the Loddon print, and I think that was Claire that used that. Again, I'll use and insert a picture for you. Really pretty ones. And Nicole also used the I think that was called the Kensington Park. That reminded me a little bit of the Liberty Strawberry Thief in its design, but it was slightly different. And then we had a lovely yellow one from Liz, and that was called Edenham Tana Lawn. Ironically, when Kate from the Fold Line did her review last week of this series, she showed an alternative to because I think she must have published hers before the Great British Sewing Bee published this free pattern, and she showed a pattern that because Liberty of London do their own patterns now, and it was a children's pattern that Liz used, the Edenham Tana Lawn. So I picked up on that one straight away. It was really pretty. I didn't recognise Ali's. Ali used like a red, kind of an abstract animal print. I didn't recognise that one. And then Hazel used, it was like a dark blue with circles on it. And she did a contrast orange collar. It looked really quite good actually. So Fiona went for I think that was on a Minerva. That was just like a blue floral, pretty little blue floral, and Mark used a pink floral cotton. Obviously, the fabrics that they use for the first challenge, that's what's available in the actual sewing bee. They're not buying those in like they do for the last one. So yeah, I think the main criticisms were uneven collars. I think that was a big beef, and obviously across the smocking panel, getting that even. And Therese really surprised me actually, because she has had 4 children and grandchildren as well, and she sort of went into the challenge quite confidently, thinking I thought she'd do really well, but I think she just ran out of time. I don't know if she was being overly precise with the rest of the rest of the garment, and she just ran out of time. So I don't know if she rushed the smocking part of it, but it wasn't quite finished. And Claire, they picked up on Claire's choice of collar straight away. She went for a blue contrast collar, and it looked really pretty. And she used a crepe, and they were looking for a crisp finish on the collar. Now, what I would say about that is, although she probably did use the wrong fabric, I think there were worse collars amongst the ones that used the correct fabric, if you know what I mean. Some of them were a bit uneven. I think they picked Liz up on hers. I think she said it was supposed to be punky, but I mean it was square. It was a bit squared off in parts, and somebody else got one of the collars bigger than the other as well. I can't remember which it was, but that was the main sort of problem. The back of the dress had a little keyhole fastening, so there was a button, and that was bias bound. So quite a lot to do in 4.5 hours really, getting everything sort of neat and tidy. Especially Hazel said that there was a lot of techniques there that she'd never ever used. I don't think she'd ever done a Peter Pan collar. I don't think she'd ever done the smocking. I think the bias binding. She said there were 3 or 4 techniques that she'd never done. So to finish it, and she did really well. And I think all contestants actually finished the dresses and did a really good job. That's all I've got for the fabrics, I think. Yeah. So on round 2, we had the transformation challenge. Now we're all used to this now. It's always 90 minutes. It's always transformation. You can complain all you like how daft it is, but they do it every time. And this time it was sleeping bags, bizarrely. So we had the contestants could use, I think they could only use one sleeping bag, but any other embellishments that they liked, and had to make a piece of food. And it was supposed to be a fancy dress outfit for a child. So we had all sorts of things. So we had Ali's did a fabulous slice of pepperoni pizza. The judges said that it had to be instantly recognisable, and I'm sorry, but if you had seen the show, everybody would have seen that there was a slice of pizza, apart from Esme. So I don't know if she's had a sheltered life or what, but it was instantly recognisable as a slice of pizza. Hazel made a cheeseburger, which I thought was brilliant in the time. I mean, there were so many components to it. I mean, that was really good. We had 2 watermelons. Fiona did a full watermelon, so with all the rind on, and then when you opened it up, it had the pips in. She was criticised for it not being plump enough. And then Claire did the watermelon slice, which I think she used boning to do that. And I think that won. That challenge. We had Nicole did a carrot. Can't remember how she was placed. I put all the placements on the blog post. I think it came middle somewhere. And Liz made a pumpkin, and again I think that was criticised for not being plump enough. Again, they had to be instantly recognisable. So one of the guys went for sushi, and to me it was instantly recognisable. Again, Esme couldn't pick a piece of sushi out, so I don't know where she does her dining. Yeah, I thought that was a really inspired piece of work. Factory threatened to send her home for not recognising it, which is quite funny. And then we had one of the other guys, I think that was Matt, who did an apple. And I kid you not, they nearly had to break the model's neck to get it on. He'd obviously not thought of getting it on and off. And I think the judges actually mistook it for a pea to start off with, so it wasn't because it wasn't particularly very big. So there was some quite good laughs in it. Mark did a bag of crisps, as we call them in the UK. He put chips on, but the chips are something that you have with your fish and chips, from Yorkshire anyway. So yeah, he did a little barcode on it, which it ranked quite highly, but I think that was probably one of the simplest ones. It was one of the less complicated ones, shall we say. Therese did a bunch of grapes. Yes, that's the one that won. She picked a purple sleeping bag and inserted lots of little balls in it, and I think she used, I don't know if she used pipe cleaners to make, and it did look good. And just to make the balls, she just used pipe cleaners. It looked good. And then she put some felt on the top to represent the vine leaves, and I think she put a big headband on the model, on the dummy that they used. So looking at it, yes, it did look good, and that is the one that won. I had my reservations about that. I didn't see a lot of sewing going on there, so that would be my criticism of that one. It, like I say, it looked good. A lot of them looked good. A lot of them had a lot more sewing in them. I'll leave it at that then, I think. So your fit round 3 was children's dungarees, and quite a lot of the contestants used the same pattern. Joe made me laugh because he said the definition of dungarees was dungarees comes from the Indian word for dungarees, which means dungarees. It does indeed come from an Indian word, and I think it comes from a place in Mumbai in India, and the description of the fabric actually. I think dungaree was a kind of cotton twill, and then it's gone on to mean the actual garment. We call them dungarees in the UK. They're probably called overalls or bib and braces elsewhere, and they were really workwear. So when a child wears dungarees, they're kind of wanting something that's hard wearing, and they're going to a bit of rough and tumble, and essentially they are unisex. So you know, it's quite a good pattern to have if you've got children, because you can use it for girls and boys. So quite a lot of the contestants went for the Freddie Dungarees, which is a 2 stitches pattern. So I think there was Ali, Fiona, Claire and Peter all went for that pattern, and it was quite a distinguished pattern in that it had little squared off pockets, and then it had on the bib it had a big pocket here, so that's why it was quite easy to spot. And I think one of the contestants, we saw it and on the programme, and we were able to pick it out on the others, because when they do the line drawings as well, so you can actually see from their line drawings that they're the same. So I'll start with Ali's. Ali did such an unusual fabric I have never seen before, and it was a tie-dye corduroy, and it worked out really effective. She'd put on the pocket area here, I think she omitted her pocket, but put a piece of applique which she free motion quilted on top, like a splash, and she sort of went down there for the kids, done the decorating in the bedroom sort of line, and it looked really effective. And then we had Claire, who had some friends who were out in Kenya, and I think the children were coming back over to the UK, and she wanted to do something to remind the children of their time in Kenya, and she did it was plain blue, navy blue I think, and they made a feature out of the pockets with giraffes, and I managed to find that fabric as well, so I put a link in my blog post to that fabric. I think it was a Macawa fabric with the giraffes on. So yeah, so Fiona used the same one with a green denim, and she went for quite a graphic print. That particular pattern, it's got a couple of variations. So I think it's got long and short, and then you can make it a skirt as well, so it is truly sort of versatile pattern. And it has you've got the option of putting roll-up cuffs on the bottom, and there are little tabs to do it as well, but I don't think anybody did the tabs. So Fiona did sort of plain on the outside, and she took an awful long time making sure that although she had the pockets were contrasted on the inside, that they didn't show on the outside. I think she probably took too long doing that, because hers wasn't actually finished. So she'd got one cuff at the bottom done and the other cuff not done. And Patrick did remark, he said, you're better off either doing none or both, but to do one was quite glaringly obvious. And then she also at the end had a tiny little hole sort of between the bib and the bottoms. I don't know if she knew she'd done that, but yes, that was a real shame. Peter did, it looked all brown on the outside, and then did little cute dash-ons on the inside. So the little girl looked like a land girl when she finished. It looked really cute actually, but I probably wouldn't have chosen brown for a child, but probably the most practical colour of them all really. But yeah, she looked really cute, but he got criticised for it being too big. So the next pattern that was used a lot was the one that Therese used, and that was a birder pattern. I'll put an image of it in. It was a 9664. Again, I'll put an image up there for you. And Therese got criticised originally for using shirting weight cotton, and she defended herself, and quite rightly. She said, I make dungarees for my grandchildren, and they live in a hot country. I can't remember where she said they lived, and they don't want a heavyweight cotton. So I don't know whether the remit was that they should be using something heavyweight or not. I don't know. But hers was a very light lemon, and it had very small birds on it. I couldn't find anything like it. And then she very cleverly did just the top of the pockets in a contrast lemon and white striped fabric. It looked really good, really effective. My only criticism of that is that the fabric was very lightweight, and you could see the stripes through the bib. I could see that on the screen, that it was, you don't really want to see your lining through your main fabric. So yes, I can see a point that you know, not everybody lives in a cold country like the UK where you need something quite so hot and robust. And she did a short version as well, but it doesn't want to be see-through really. Somebody else, Mark, used the same one, I think. Yeah, he used the same one, and I think it was the same pattern. He used the green denim and had little flamingos, and he did some really nice work around the pocket area where the flamingos were just flashing through, and I think he fully lined that with the flamingos as well. Sadly, when the model came to try them on, they were too short, so he had to very quickly make a decision to shorten them. So I think he went to knee length with his, and the judges really did pick up on the fact that, number one, that it made them too small, and they were quite snug on her as well. But when he'd come to do his legs, they were actually uneven, which was really sad, really, because he made a really nice job of them. So yeah, I think Matt also made that bird pattern. His was a mustard yellow denim. I mean, Minerva have got all sorts of denims. I'll put a link in the blog post. But he chose to pick out there's a waistband on these Verda ones, and he chose to pick out the waistband, and I think it was the inside of the pockets and the straps in a pale blue, and that looked really, really good. I'm not sure why that didn't get first, actually. He got the this child model to draw a little motif on the pocket that was going on the bib, and he did a little bee, which was quite cute. And I think Hazel used the same pattern as well. She went for a short version, and that was in red, and her pockets had little spacemen on. And I could have cried for Hazel. She had put one of her back pockets on upside down. Now she did say right at the beginning that children need room to grow into dungarees, and she's quite right, they do. But I think she just made them a bit too big. Esme asked the little lad to put his hand in his pocket, and they were too far down. I don't think they were finished at the side neither. They looked quite big at the side, and I don't think there were any buttons on. But I think what really ruined her was putting that pocket on upside down. And Ali came up with a great idea to say, well, spacemen are upside down. You know, they don't have a right side up. Put some falling out of the pocket, but the way she executed it just didn't work at all. She'd have either been better off leaving it, or I think unpicking it and starting again, really. But 4.5 hours, you don't really have time for things like that. So, and you've got to really think on your feet when you're doing things like that. It's a lot of work. I mean, you think child's dungaree, you think children's clothes are quicker, but they're not really. I mean, they're more fiddly. So we come on to Liz's. And Liz's little model was an absolute star. She was loving it. She really did lap it up. So I think it was made by Jack's mum, Dig Dungarees, and she used a star print. I think it was a denim, and I think Minerva had that one in with red contrast, and so she had lots of red contrast top stitching. And she did a short version, and I don't know whether it's cheating her a little bit or whether she was just being like really clever, but she left the bottom of the trousers, the short bottom of the trousers, selvage on. So it's a little bit of a job less to do, and trying to even up her hem and actually sew her hem. So, but I didn't see the judge pick up on anything wrong with Liz's at all. So I'm not quite sure why that didn't win that particular round. I mean, there was quite a few that they didn't pick up on. They didn't pick. They liked Ali's, they liked Liz's, they liked Claire's, but Therese won that round again. Yeah, I think she came top on that round again. Yeah. Oh, and Nicole's was the last one, and she used a corduroy, blue corduroy with little red anchors on, and little contrasting stripes. I'm not 100% sure what her pattern was. I put a peekaboo pattern on there that looked very. Somebody suggested that it was the Okidoki overalls. So I don't know if it was or not. I know it wasn't the same one that Therese used, because Therese has had a waistband on and Nicole's didn't, and this peekaboo one doesn't neither. So it could have been that one. Some of the patterns you get to see when they're doing the show, and some of them you don't. So it's some are a bit easier than others. Yeah. So that was the overalls. So Fiona was the one that was eliminated sadly this week. I'm really sad to see Fiona go. She was a really good sewer. She just ran out of time, I think, for quite a few of her garments. It was really sad. Yeah, and garment of the week went to Therese for the grapes, for the bunch of grapes, not for the overall, for the dungarees. I was quite surprised. I think there were some better dungarees that could have won garment of the week than. It's a sewing programme after all, so I'd have thought that one of those would have won, even though hers was in contention. So back to last week, when the Palazzo pants. Yeah, so last week's, or the week before's, I said I would make some Palazzo pants as my little mini challenge to myself. I had a couple of choices and I ended up going for the one that was in one of the old Great British Sewing Bee books. It was this one from the Stitch to Style. And boy, have I got some issues with this. They're not made. I've twirled them. My first issue was the sizing. The only sizing that's in this book is on this page here. But believe me, when it says standard ready-to-wear women's measurement chart, a size 10 would give you a 34 bust, 27.5 inch waist. Size 12 would give you a 36.5 inch bust and a 29.5 inch waist. No beef with that whatsoever. That's just a number, I don't care. But what it says is it's a standard ready-to-wear. It doesn't say that this is the size pattern that's being used in this book. So we then go on over to the actual page with the pattern on it, which only gives you finished measurements. So back to the size 12, where it says the waist is 36.25 inches. So back to that one, size 12, 29.5. So you're telling me there's 7 inches ease in the waist. Now, reading the design notes, it says that they're cut to sit 1.5 inches below the waistline, and yes, your waistline an inch and a half below is wider than on you, because obviously your waist is your slimmest bit. It's not 7 inches difference, I hope. So, first of all, how do you know which size to sew? In the end, I had to go to the pattern and measure off the pattern and do all the calculations and knock off the darts and what have you. And I went for a size 12 and sewed the size 12. And the size 12 does fit. But it's not a 36.5 inch waist when it's finished. I shall tell you how big the waist is when it's finished. This is my very, very rough old duvet, and I've only done, look at that. I've only done it as a pair of shorts because this is the fabric I had, and I just left off the end bits. So it's supposed to be finished waist of 36.5 inches. So I've still got the seam allowance there, so we're going to have to knock off the seam allowance when I finish measuring this. So there we go, that's 35 inches, that's to there, and we've got to knock off our seam allowances, which is 5/8 of an inch at either side, which is 33 3/4. 33 3/4, and it's saying I mean, who knows? It does actually fit me because I measured it before I started. But you know, anybody who's not used to sewing, where would they start with that? My second beef is this waistband. Again, you probably can't see very well on the picture, but it's got a very definite waistband. I would say it's very small, but the waistband on this is both too short and too narrow. So we've got, let me find it, Palazzo pants waistband there. You see the width of that? Now there's nowhere that it says you sew two pieces together. It's not. You cut one in fabric and one in interfacing. I'm going to go on to centimetres. I'm sorry. It is 5.5 centimetres wide. Is that? You've got 1.5 centimetres seam allowance, or 5/8 of an inch, whichever you like. So once you've taken that seam allowance off both, once you've turned it over, so that's 3 centimetres off your 5.5, you've left with 2.5 centimetres to fold in half. So you're left with the tiniest little waistband that's not neither here nor there. Now I sewed that at 1 centimetre. Again, the sewing's rough, it's a toile, and this isn't my normal sewing. I did that at 1 centimetre, and that's the width of the waistband that I got from that pattern. So, can you see I'm not very chuffed? So, I will finish them. I will do the waistband to the size that I will want it, because I don't really see the point of a waistband that's any narrower than that, and it would have been definitely narrower than that. So I will either cut it wider and double it over. I think that comes out at 1.5 centimetres, and that's by doing the 1.5 cent, because you've got 1 centimetre either side, and then you've got it doubled over, and then you've got your turn of cloth. So that 5.5 centimetres. I was furious. Not furious because I've cut into fabric, but why confuse people? So no, not best pleased, but I will finish. I've cut them out, and I will finish them. I just haven't had the time this week at all. So yeah, not best pleased about that. But I will not be beaten. Yes. So my challenge this week then. So the Children's Week one. So as I said earlier, I've had the lovely news that I'm going to be a grandma, but it's very, very early days, and we don't know what it's going to be. So I'm thinking maybe if I'm sew some dungarees. Now I know the child's dress is a free pattern, but I don't really see much point of doing a child's dress if I don't know the sex of the child. Whereas a pair of dungarees, I can use for either or, and it just so happens that I've no patterns at all for children's wear at all, but this Sew Your Own Wardrobe, which is I think this was the second book. There's quite a lot of children's patterns in this. Look at this, that's so cute. So yeah, 2 children's dress, 2 girls' dresses in here. I'll show you the other one as well. None of them have got the shirring in, but that one had a Peter Pan collar, and that's got just a little child's dress, probably for a slightly older child. But it has got these baby dungarees in, and I think I might just give those a bash I've got plenty of fabric that I can use for that. So a little denim dungarees, or I've got some corduroy, or I've got all sorts of things that I could use for that. So I think I'll give those a bash. And yeah, that's the start of my journey to children's sewing, hopefully. My husband did comment that it'd be rubbish on the sewing bee because I never sew for anybody else, so that was my chance to shine. The draw for the fabric that we had last week, I'll give you a quick flash because it's come through in the post and it's just as beautiful in real life. So this fabric, 2 meters of it, and I did a very technical draw. I think there were only 13 people that entered. I cut all the names up, put them in a bag and drew out one. Now I've already done this. I'm sorry I haven't done it live, but I wanted to do it on the time that I said I was going to do it, and I'm recording this late. So the winner is Lisa Bates. I've already contacted Lisa, and that'll be winging its way in the next day or two to Lisa. And thank you very much for everybody who entered, and I hope you enjoy sewing your son a shirt with that. So that's it from me today. I'm catching up with the episode, so it will be the sportswear next. So I will be doing that next, and hopefully not such a big delay this time. So yeah. So thank you everybody. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll be back with you next time. Okay, cheers.